There is a silent miracle hiding in plain sight, a secret so vast, so intimate, that most people brush against it daily without ever realizing they've just touched the divine. They call it the placebo effect, as if giving it a name could contain it, could neutralize it, could make it feel less like heresy. As if this quiet force, this whisper between mind and matter, were just a statistical hiccup instead of the holy glitch in the simulation it truly is. But the placebo is not a fluke. It is not the outlier. It is the raw blueprint of how reality responds to consciousness, a dormant birthright waiting to be claimed. It is a revelation, and if truly understood, it is the key that unlocks the door to human potential, so profound it could unmake everything we thought we knew about healing, power, and the body itself. The placebo pill doesn't heal. It never did. It was never about the pill. The pill is a stage prop in a sacred drama, a symbol, a totem, a magical decoy. It is the altar before which your subconscious kneels to do its real work. You believe it will help, and so it does. Belief, that sacred architect, flips the switch, pulls the hidden levers, and awakens the vast chemical intelligence sleeping within your cells. Endorphins are released. Inflammation drops. Pain dissolves. Hormonal balance shifts. Tumors regress. But these effects are not tricks. They're not illusions. They're measurable, visible, and sometimes miraculous. What's fake is the story we've been sold, that healing always has to come from outside us. Here's the secret alchemy. The more authoritative the source, the stronger the spell. A sugar pill from your neighbor, maybe you feel a little better. But a sugar pill from a man in a white coat, standing beneath the fluorescence of modern cathedrals, surrounded by machines that beep and papers that bear sigils of the establishment. That is high ritual. That is modern magic. That is spellcasting cloaked in scientific ceremony. You kneel before the altar of empirical legitimacy and receive your synthetic Eucharist. And it works, not because the chemical content has any power, but because your belief does. The lab coat is the robe, the clipboard is the wand, the stethoscope is the staff of office, the diagnosis, a spoken incantation that cuts deep into the script of your subconscious. And what happens when that spell is not a blessing, but a curse? What happens when the words aren't healing charms, but fatal prophecies? The doctor sighs. The tone shifts. The sterile room becomes a confessional. And with all the weight of presumed truth, he says, "You have 6 months. And if you receive it, if you believe it, if you absorb it into your inner command center, your body will comply. Systems will shut down on cue. Biology will prepare for an ending it didn't need to reach. Organs will begin to decay, not from the disease, but from the spell." That's nocebo. That's modern-day cursing, and it works with eerie precision. It is the dark twin of the placebo, operating by the same laws. Belief as instruction, subconscious as executor. This isn't poetic metaphor. This is the quiet revolution buried in white papers and footnotes. The heresy of hope hidden in the appendices of medical journals. And let it be clear, this isn't an attack on science or the medical field. We owe much to the dedicated doctors, researchers, and scientists whose work has saved countless lives. Modern medicine is a miracle in its own right. But like all systems, it is still evolving, and recognizing the power of belief doesn't undermine science. It expands it. It invites a fuller understanding of healing that honors both the data and the mystery. The nocebo effect has been studied, replicated, documented, then shushed. Why? Because it threatens the credibility of science. Perhaps. Or perhaps it threatens the monopoly on authority. The entire industrial medical pharmaceutical complex is built on a single hypnotic suggestion. You don't know how to heal. We do. And like any powerful spell, it relies on repetition, on fear, on institutional robes and sacred-looking graphs to reinforce it. But the truth is simpler and far more dangerous. The truth is, you were born with a body capable of healing, a mind capable of influence, and a subconscious eager to obey your direction. But no one taught you how to use it. The tools were always there, but the manual was hidden. Instead of learning how belief shapes biology, how imagination steers chemistry, and how thought influences form, you were taught to wait, obey, and outsource your power. You weren't just distracted. You were never shown what you were truly capable of. But the subconscious mind doesn't need convincing. It only needs direction. It doesn't pass truth from fiction. It obeys what it believes is real. And that means whoever you invest with authority becomes the wielder of your wand, the one casting your reality. Whether it's a teacher, a parent, a news anchor, a preacher, a TikToker, a doctor, a celebrity, or a stranger in a suit, if you believe in them, your subconscious listens. And the words they speak, those become the spells, the blessings, the curses. That's why mass-scale hypnosis is not just possible, it's happening, right now, all the time. Through headlines, diagnoses, slogans, shame, and repetition. The wand isn't in their hand, it's in your mind. So fear floods the airwaves. Panic becomes a perfume in the bloodstream of society. And people begin to exhibit symptoms without pathogens, without exposure, without cause. Because the cause is belief. The cause is suggestion. The immune system buckles, not under the weight of germs, but under the weight of collective panic. The fear is the virus. The curse has been spoken, and the body, ever loyal, responds. But illness is only the most obvious manifestation. This goes much deeper. A child told she's stupid fails her tests. A woman who internalizes "you're not enough" begins to crumble under the weight of that lie. A man convinced he's doomed to repeat his failures unknowingly constructs the cage that proves it. Belief becomes identity. Identity becomes the unconscious program. And unless you interrupt it, unless you rise from the trance, you live a life scripted by other people's spells. And that's what this is. A moment of interruption, a shattering of glass, an alarm, a remembering. Because deep down you already know, you've always known. The placebo effect isn't some outlier, it's the proof of concept. It's the message in the bottle tossed through the sea of mainstream amnesia that says, hey, reality is hackable. Genes are not dictators, they are instruments. They wait for the conductor, and perception is that baton. Through the lens of epigenetics, science is finally catching up with what sages, mystics, and shamans have whispered for centuries. Your reality is far more fluid, more responsive, more enchanted than you've been told. Your thoughts are not shadows, they're sculptors. They leave fingerprints on your physiology. A placebo is not a lie. It is a portal. It shows you your own power, then dares you to wield it. And once you see that, you don't need the pill. You don't need the robe. You don't need anyone's permission. You start to placebo yourself, not by accident, but by design. You become your own healer, your own hypnotist, your own priest. You stop waiting for an outside magician to wave the wand and realize, I am the wand. You stop praying for the sacred one to arrive and recognize, I am the sacred. You begin to speak in symbols. You speak directly to your subconscious, the ritualist that lives beneath your thoughts. You stop arguing with your pain and start transmuting it. Neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, becomes your syntax for change. A practical form of inner alchemy that uses the language of the mind to rewrite the scripts running your life. Imagine if you could edit your thoughts like lines of code. That's NLP. You start by noticing how your internal world is structured. The images you replay, the words you whisper to yourself, the feelings you anchor to memories. NLP teaches you to reframe those narratives. Instead of, I am broken, you install, I am healing every day. Instead of associating failure with shame, you rewire it as a stepping stone to power. Anchoring is another technique, pairing a physical gesture like pressing your thumb and finger together with a state of joy or calm until you can summon that emotion on command. Metaphor becomes your medicine because the subconscious doesn't think in facts, it thinks in stories and symbols. Sensory immersion, engaging sight, sound, touch, emotion, gives your suggestions vivid life. Repetition makes them stick. With time, you create new anchors, install new mental frames, and build an inner architecture that supports the healed version of you. You don't just visualize that healed self from a distance, you become it. You wear it like prophecy. You embody it as fact before the world catches up. That's the magic of hacking belief on purpose. When done with clarity, emotion, and symbolic force, the mind cannot help but follow. You slow your breath. You drop into trance. You whisper new commands into the temple of your own nervous system, and your biology listens. Emotion plus repetition equals installation. Light a candle. Pour the intention into flame through sustained, focused meditation. Let it be magic. Let it be holy. Let it be utterly yours. Because magic is not fiction. It is focused belief harnessed through ritualized action. It is nothing more and nothing less than speaking to the subconscious in the only language it truly understands, symbolic certainty. And that's what every mystery school across the ages has always been about. That's what pyramids and prayers and mantras and medicine wheels were designed to do. Install belief deep enough that reality would be compelled to comply. But we forgot. We were taught to mock it, fear it, discard it. And those who profit from our amnesia are all too happy to keep us asleep. Because when you're asleep, you're predictable, profitable, programmable. But when you wake up, you become ungovernable. You become free, a sovereign being, a magician without a temple, remembering that the temple was always inside. You can live this. You can embody this. You can become the living proof that reality bends to belief, that the sacred wasn't lost, just buried, and that we are the ones born to dig it up. Placebo isn't fake. It's the most real thing there is. Reality is just slow to catch up. So rise, pick up the wand, cast the spell, and let the world remember itself through you. Because the veil is thin, the hour is late, and the illusion is already cracking. Will you be the one who finally remembers? Thanks for watching. If you found value in this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.